the United Nations, its working, and its major organs. During the first half of the 20th century, mankind experienced 2 world wars. These wars caused immense loss of life and property. The First World War, 1914 to 1918, had destroyed Europe. Many people were left disabled, homeless, hungry, and poor. Destructive weapons were used which were capable of destroying and wiping out the civilization. This fact made people think in terms of an organization which would help in eliminating wars in future. Hence, the League of Nations was established for maintaining world peace, and it had its headquarters in Geneva in Switzerland. The League failed to stop the outbreak of the Second World War. The world leaders intensified their efforts to create an organization which would help them to settle their disputes amicably and guide them in working together. After the Second World War, representatives of 50 nations met at a conference held at San Francisco, USA in 1945. Here the representatives signed the United Nations Charter on 24th October 1945. The United Nations was born. Since this day, that is 24th October, is celebrated as UN Day. It has its headquarters at New York, USA. Today, UN has 193 members who work together to prevent future wars and promote goodwill and peace among the nations of the world. The Charter of the UN is a written document which contains its objectives and principles. It also outlines the functions and structure of this organization. In short, it declares the basic intentions of its founding fathers. The preamble of the Charter proclaims that UN has been established to prevent wars and promote peace. It also asserts the value of fundamental human rights. The main objectives of the UN, as laid down in the Charter, are as follows: to maintain international peace and security in the world, to develop friendly relations among the nations, to promote respect for human rights and fundamental freedom for all, to cooperate in solving international problems of economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian character, to be center for helping nations to achieve this aim. All peace-loving nations can become a member of UN. They have to abide by the purposes and principles of the United Nations as stated in the Charter of the organization. The main principles set by the UN to be followed by its members are as follows: to respect the sovereignty and rights of other nations, to settle disputes by peaceful means, to refrain from use of force or threatening to use force, to give the organization every assistance in any action it takes in accordance with the Charter, to fulfill the duties outlined in the Charter. The UN may not interfere in the domestic affairs of any country. Organs of the UN. The United Nations has 6 main organs: the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the Trusteeship Council, the International Court of Justice, the Secretariat. The Economic and Social Council. The Economic and Social Council, Ecosoc, takes care of the social, cultural, and economic activities of the UN. Ecosoc has 54 members. The General Assembly elects 18 members for a term of 3 years. Decisions are taken by majority vote for those present and voting. Ecosoc works for the economic and social welfare of the people throughout the world and is primarily concerned with women and children's rights, health improvements in standard of living all over the world. The specialized agencies of UN like WHO and UNICEF work under its supervision. The work of Ecosoc is supervised by the General Assembly. The Security Council. The Security Council is the most important organ of the UN. The Security Council has 15 members, 5 of whom are permanent: USA, Russia, Britain, France and China, and the other 10 are non-permanent members. They are elected by the General Assembly for a 2-year term. The decisions of the Security Council are taken by the majority vote. The permanent member possesses the right to veto. By the application of this right, a permanent member can reject any decision of the Security Council. The Security Council performs the task of maintaining international peace and security. The Trusteeship Council. The Trusteeship Council was set up to ensure the administration and development of those areas of the world which are not independent states and are badly destroyed by the war. These territories were made trust territories and were prepared for self-government by nations designated by the UN as their trustees. 11 territories were brought under this system. The last of these, Palau, became independent in 1994. The Council will now meet only when it is required. Fact: the Economic and Social Council has 54 member states which are elected by the United Nations General Assembly for overlapping 3-year term. Seats on the Council are based on geographical representation, with 14 allocated to African states, 11 to Asian states, 6 to Eastern European states, 10 to Latin American and Caribbean states, and 13 to Western European states and other. The Economic and Social Council. The Economic and Social Council, Ecosoc, takes care of the social, cultural and economic activities of the UN. Ecosoc has 54 members. The General Assembly elects 18 members for a term of 3 years. Decisions are taken by majority vote for those present and voting. Ecosoc works for the economic and social welfare of the people throughout the world and is primarily concerned with women and children's rights, health improvements in standard of living all over the world. The specialized agencies of UN like WHO and UNICEF work under its supervision. The work of Ecosoc is supervised by the General Assembly.